Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to welcome everyone on our November conference by Let's Talk Mgimo. Annually, this organization makes events in style of TED Talks in order to touch important topics for audience, distribute unique ideas, and also find the truth in various positions. As a famous proverb says, a thought creates an action. My name is Nazanin Mamedova, and I'm a host of November conference by Let's Talk Mgimo. Especially for today's conference, we collected the strongest team of 6 speakers, which I guess prepared amazing and thought-provoking presentations, which will catch the attention of our dear listeners. Are you ready to open your minds and hearts for new ideas, start discussions, and perhaps move beyond your beliefs? So, let's talk. Without no doubt, many people have an experience with a sense of perfectionism. But is it a positive or negative side of our character, and how it affects our mental and physical health? It's a controversial question which needs a discussion. Our first speaker, Abdurahmanav Salimgerey, is eager to reveal the secrets, resolve this dispute, relying on his personal experience.
Hi everyone, I'm glad to see each and every one of you here. Thank you for coming. My name is Salимгерей Абдурахманов, but I think that is too challenging for your ears, so just try to remember me as Salim. So, everyone has heard the word perfectionism, but do we understand it in the right way? I have spoken to many different people about this phenomenon, and I have found out that they have very narrow understanding of it. People tend to think that perfectionist is just someone who likes everything to be in its place. Like every book should be on a shelf in a certain color palette, or there should be a perfect order in the room, just like this room. Actually, it is my bedroom. How do you like it? Of course, I'm joking, jokes aside. But this thinking has nothing to do with reality. According to scientists, perfectionism is a combination of excessively high personal standards and self-evaluations. Or, to put it more simply, you believe that whatever you do must be perfect, without any mistakes or errors. Just a quick example. For example, you compete in a sports tournament. Being a perfectionist, you have to win it no matter what it takes. But if you don't win, here starts the funny part of being a perfectionist. You will start to blame yourself, why didn't I win, what's gone wrong, and etc. So, right now, I would like to ask each and every one of you to raise your hand if you consider yourself a perfectionist. Let's see. Okay. I would say that statistics in this room has certain correlation with the statistic in the world. According to statistics, there are around 30% of perfectionists in this world. And I think that this number is very huge. But for those of you who think that they are not perfectionists, look at these questions. Take your time, look through them. So, if you answer at least 3 or 4 questions yes, then congratulations. You are a perfectionist, or at least have such tendencies. So after we have found out that there are many perfectionists in this world, let's see how to deal with perfectionism. And I don't want to burden your mind too much, so I decided to point out just 2 factors. 2 factors, and I will introduce some examples. So, the first standard, have self-standards. Every perfectionist sets very high self-standards. From one hand, it can help you to improve your overall achievements, and it will increase the level of your ambition and motivation. But from the other hand, you will have to experience a huge amount of stress and anxiety. So, the first example, Napoleon. You know this guy, right? Napoleon became the general of the army at the age of 24. Can you imagine? 24 years old and he became a general. It is a huge achievement for everyone, but not for Napoleon. In his memoirs, Napoleon wrote, "I'm 24 years old and I am just a miserable general of this army. For comparison, Alexander the Great, by my age, has conquered almost all the world. And you see, this is a typical example of perfectionism thinking. But in this case, it helped Napoleon to become better, and he has become one of the most successful and greatest imperials that this world has ever seen. Right now, I would ask everyone to watch this video.
Это четкое разумение оценка, а скорее количество дней, которые мне потребуется, чтобы забыть этот провал.
So you see, this is a perfect example of perfectionism thinking. You set too much high self-standards. For example, I got 88 and I didn't like this. I wanted to get higher. And due to this fact, I had to experience a huge amount of stress and anxiety. Next factor that I would like to dwell on is attention to detail. Every perfectionist pays huge amount of attention to details. From the one side, it can help you to improve the quality of your work, but from the other side, you can miss the main point. So, first example is Steve Jobs. Everyone knows Steve Jobs, everyone uses Apple, I see. And I don't think that there is a sense to tell about his success story. Needless to say that he is one of the best managers. He managed to create one of the most popular and profitable companies in this century. But perfectionism isn't always good. Sometimes it can damage you. And right here you see the sculpture. It's a sculpture of one of the most greatest artists that this world has ever seen, Michelangelo. Michelangelo is a notorious perfectionist. In order to create this sculpture, he put in an enormous amount of work. He worked days and days, until one day he took a sledgehammer and chopped off the sculpture's arms and legs. You may wonder, why did he do that? Well, the answer is very simple. Michelangelo was a perfectionist, and he couldn't handle anything except of perfection. He saw flaws in his works, that's why he decided to destroy it. And here starts the most interesting part. So as you see, I'm from Dagestan. I was born and brought up there. And I would say that my parents brought me up in the most typical way for every Caucasus boy. Being a boy in Dagestan, you have to be restrained in feelings and emotions, but strong in actions and achievements. But among these other things, I was instilled with one thing, and it's perfectionism. No wonder why. My parents were very goal-oriented themselves, and there was a heavy emphasis on achievement at home. So that's why, according to my parents, I had to be always the best at everything and better than everyone. As a boy, I took part in a big amount of school Olympiads, sports tournaments, and etc. And most of the time, I succeeded. I was the first, the second, or the third, but when I didn't succeed, the conversation at home would go like this. Well, Salim, you didn't manage to win, but it's okay. Maybe next time you try better. Maybe next time you put more work. And sometimes I was even punished for the fact that I didn't succeed. Once, I remember, I was beat up and locked in the garage for the whole week. Can you imagine? Oh, come on, relax. It's a joke, it's a joke. I wasn't locked for a week. I wasn't locked for a week, it was only 2 days. So, it's all good. But, jokes aside, in the long run, I'm grateful to my parents, grateful for their methods of upbringing, because they helped me to become better and a more stronger person. So, I'm grateful for their methods and, of course, childhood traumas. In conclusion, I would like to surprise you. I would like to sing a song. Are you ready? Relax. No songs here. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. At least I did.
What is the role of women in politics? Is it a matter of inequality or a crucial aspect of a fair society? Ilaha Gassanova will provide us with her knowledge and explorations on political influence of women through different examples from history.
Please raise your hands who watched The Magnificent Century. In Russian it is called Великолепный век. Oh, okay. Well, women have played a significant role both in history and world politics. Sometimes they brought down the entire empire, poor the Ottoman Empire, but sometimes they won the Falklands War. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, students and professors. My name is Gasanova Ilaha and I'm the student of the School of Governance and Politics, and today we are going to talk about politics. Well, yes, we are at Mgimo University and basically we always talk about it. But it's time to talk about women in politics. What a trivial topic, you might think. Women have already defended their rights and hold the leadership positions in some organizations and even become presidents. But how many of these women can you name? Not many. How many women MPs can you name, diplomats? Yes, there are some, but they can be counted on fingers. When I was 15 years old, I started to get clear on what career path I would choose for myself and why I want to become a politician. My friends, of course, were surprised, and my parents as well. Everyone started saying, well, you're a girl, and the most offensive thing was that people deliberately pointed out my nationality and my religion. And in order to defend myself, I gave them the most vivid examples of female Azerbaijani politicians, such as Mihriban Aliyeva, Leyla Aliyeva, Elmira Gafarova, and Ganira Pashayeva. I thought that with time the attitude of people would change, but the further I grew up, the worse it became. During our first year of university, our instructors have a habit of asking us what career path we will choose after graduation. And I always told them that I want to develop as a politician or become a civil servant. You should have seen the surprise on their face. Their open mouth, wide eyes, and the moment of silence. They usually answered me, well, you're a girl. You can't go into politics. You are too beautiful. In fact, a lot of people say those words to me, but how can we fight against such attitude of people? In minds of people really ingrained the idea that beauty and intelligence are incompatible things, and in general, if you are beautiful, and in particular, if you're a beautiful girl, it means that you can do nothing at all. It is enough for you just to sit, breathe, and exist. However, I would like to recall the words of famous Mgimo University professor Vladimir Ligoida, which I wrote during the most interesting lectures on cultural studies. There is a phenomenon of kalakagathis. In ancient Greece, people believed that everything in humans should be perfect, both body and soul. It is an interesting phenomenon that even in ancient times, people treated beauty as a category of something supreme. In order to remove doubt in audience that a woman can really be a politician, I would like to give you the most vivid examples of Margaret Thatcher and Mehriban Aliyeva. Margaret Thatcher was not from an aristocratic family. She achieved everything with her skills and abilities. Even her school teachers recalled that girl always worked on herself and thought about self-improvement. She proved to the whole world that a woman herself can achieve everything, even not being the daughter of the most influential people in the world. By the way, she also had 2 children and was a happy wife. That is, he proved that her career didn't affect her happy marriage. The same can be said about Mehriban Aliyeva, the First Lady of Azerbaijan and our Vice President. She is actively engaged in the political life of Azerbaijan, and she also has 3 children, and she's a happy wife. Do you remember that a few minutes ago I told you that we must change our mindset in order to do something with this problem? So again, the country I come from. Back in times, Azerbaijan was called the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, and in 1918 it was the first Muslim country to grant suffrage. In Azerbaijan, there was no suffragette movement, and in fact, Azerbaijan was far ahead of most European countries. For example, in Italy, women have received their rights only in 1945. The male leaders of ADR believed that their country should move forward and their country should be developed, and no member of society should feel oppressed. I think that we must stop being prejudiced about women in politics. There are a lot of historic examples. For example, Elizabeth I, when England was in its prime, Elizabeth II, and so on. The existence of these examples proved to the whole world that a woman can really be a politician and can play a significant role in politics. I think that when choosing someone, we must not rely on the gender of a human. We must choose everyone relying on the principles of meritocracy. I think that when we choose someone by his or her gender, it is incorrect because it does not correspond to the norms of the modern society. I myself have chosen this difficult, complex, but interesting path. And I'm sure that in this audience, we have the same people with the same dreams as mine. And taking the opportunity, I would like to tell you that we can achieve everything that we want. The only boundaries that we have are only in our minds. Thank you.
How to stand out from the crowd due to grammatically well-built personal brand. It got a confession of the audience. So, our third speaker, Alan Hamroев, relying on his personal experience, will prove why every student needs a personal brand and what is aimed on.
Now, you might be surprised and you might think, why isn't that guy actually starting his presentation, right? The answer is that I'll start this presentation whenever I want. You know why? Because I'm a champion, and champion does whatever he wants, right? Yeah. in case for people who don't know me, today I'll tell you how to become that champion, how to build your personal brand. That's going to be very interesting. But first of all, congratulations. Congratulations and thank you all for coming today. You made a correct choice. But you know who also made the correct choice? Let's Talk made the correct choice. You know why? Because they invited me to speak on personal brand, on actually how to build, remember that word, build a personal brand. And one fact about me is that I'm from Tajikistan, and as you all know, the best builders in the world come from Tajikistan. Right. I actually found out the power of personal brand when I was 5 years old. I studied at kindergarten in Khujand, a city in Tajikistan, and my tutor, she would threaten to call Stalin if my behavior was bad. And my behavior was bad. But don't get me wrong, I was not surprised by the fact that she mentioned Stalin. In fact, she was a big, powerful Russian woman. She might have had his WhatsApp number. I do believe that. But the fact that I was a kid and I was afraid of Stalin, whom I didn't know, that was interesting. Because just think of it. I have never seen this man and I feared him. So now you all might be wondering, why would this man talk about his childhood memories? Who cares, right? Well, first of all, I've already mentioned, I'm a champion. I do whatever I want. Second of all, it's the same thing with you. Just look at it. You think you don't have a personal brand. I guarantee you, each of you has a personal brand. The thing is that you don't control it. You don't shape it. And that's the problem. Because people always say, think something about you. They have an opinion. Once the number of these people is large enough, that becomes a public opinion. That's how media works. Right? And once it becomes a public opinion, that becomes dangerous for you. And actually, I like to say that each of you, if you don't control your personal brand, you are like shawarma in Moscow. You know why? Because nobody knows what's really inside you. Nobody knows that. But at the same time, we all want Rolls Royce, right? Or maybe some of you has it. But we all want Rolls Royce, we want Rolex, we want, no comments about Coffee Mania, a dreadful place. But we all want it, right? But what do we do about it? We are okay with these big brands, but we are not okay with branding ourselves. And so today, I'm going to reveal 3 key secrets to building a sustainable personal brand. You can actually write that down, and I bet you should write that down. Rule number 1, please think about your personal brand in advance. Think about that in a long-term perspective. In 2020, I applied to Mgimo and I was actually accepted. But I was not fortunate enough because COVID struck the world and I had to spend 1 year in front of my computer in Dushanbe while watching my friends having fun in Moscow, in Patriki and Kafimani and all this stuff. I was really envy, but I also wanted to become popular. I wanted people to know me. I didn't want to be that stranger. So I started my blog actually, a blog on English language. It had, some jokes, some fun, a lot of videos, and it actually went popular. But here's the thing. I did not want to be Ellen, the teacher of English. So I just stopped blogging. I didn't like that. So before starting, think about your personal brand. Rule number 2, Breakfast of Champion, right? By the way, how many of you know about that, Breakfast of Champion? Fine. But here comes the rule number 2, you should be authentic. I was not Ellen, the teacher of English. And the thing is that if you are not authentic, if you are not original, if you are not who you are, then people may figure it out because your personality doesn't match your brand. And in the end, people will call you get-rich-quick schemer, or, as we call it in Russia, info-tsigan. Now, don't get me wrong, please. working so hard to get to Mgimo, coming from Tajikistan to Russia to Moscow, not dying from COVID actually, was hard. And that all just to become Infat Tsigan, that wasn't my dream. That was my plan B, but that was not my dream. And so I thought about my dream. What did I actually want? And so here I am. Now, most of people know me as Alan the Champion, or at least I want them to know me as Alan the Champion. Now, some of you who don't know me might think, why is that guy even calling himself a champion? Who the hell he is? But it's not arrogant. You know, the thing, and I've actually never mentioned that before, I call myself a champion not because I want to win other people. My version of champion is someone who wins himself. Someone who changes day by day. Someone who inspires other people to change. So here comes rule number 3. Come up with a story about your personal brand. See, if I just said, oh, I'm a champion, call me a champion, that would be strange, right? But now that you know about my mission, you know about my story, you actually understand that I want to help people, and it's not about me, it's about you all. That sounds great. Now, if I haven't provided sufficient reasons for you to start blogging, I don't know, to start branding yourself, now I'm going to tell you how I personally have benefited from being a champion. Well, first of all, every morning, just imagine, every morning when I come to Mgimo, by the way, the most prestigious university in Russia, everybody calls me a champion. I mean, many people call me a champion. Not Andrucha, not Vanya, not Kazbek, a champion, right? That sounds good. I mean, that sounds expensive, luxury. And that's what I wanted. The second point, right? The second point. Not only do people who know me call me a champion, but my new followers also call me a champion. See? Here it is. And actually, recently, one of my followers, just read that, he asked me for a permission to call himself a champion in his blog. I have a trademark right, you know? I am the champion. But, okay, I know that's too much of a champion. In conclusion, actually I tried to keep that speech simple, a little bit short, and entertaining. But it conveys a simple message for you all. Go and start building that personal brand. You really need that. Start building that brand today, because if you do not build your personal brand, other people will build it for you. And you'll end up being that average guy, one of millions and billions of people. But we are Mgimo students. We are not average. We're cool. We are the best. We are the champions, my friends. Okay, thank you all.
So, what history is hidden behind Caucasian dancing? Is it just an entertainment or a complex of cultural heritage? After our next speaker, Ther-Исаян Aриана, you will exactly look at dancing from a completely different perspective.
Good afternoon, dear participants of our conference. My name is Aриана Тер-Исаян, and I'm a second-year student of the Faculty of International Journalism. Today, I would like to tell you about dance, and to be more precise, about the dances of the Caucasus. As many people might consider that dance is just a hobby, a sport, an opportunity to relax or escape from reality, but dance is something more. I expose this topic as dance is the hidden language of the soul of the body, as said the great Martha Graham. At the beginning of my speech, I want to tell you about the amazing region. The Caucasus region is rich and diverse in culture and historical terms. There are many people here, each of which has its own unique culture, traditions, values, customs, languages, and certainly dances. dance is not just entertainment. It's a whole complex of cultural heritage passed down from generation to generation. They are characterized by high energy, expressiveness, nobility. Moreover, they help to preserve cultural identity and values, convey historical events and legends. Through performances and movements, fragments from the region's past can be restored. It's an amazing process and the incredible work of the participants and directors. So there are also a whole ensemble with powerful stories that represent the region from the best side at international festivals and competitions. So, but we will come back to this later. Like folk music, the dances reflects the national flavor and the peculiarities of the area in which they originated. Each region has its own unique features and the special style of performances. You can notice that the dances of the inhabitants of the mountains are distinguished by sharpness and speed of movements, while the performances of the inhabitants of the plains are dominated by calmer and smoother movements. Women in dancing move often, but not always, slowly and gracefully, while men demonstrate their belligerence and dexterity. So, magnificent pirouettes, high jumps, and tense posture, all this is typical for Georgian dances. Requires skills, physical strength, and endurance. What about me? I'm 16 years old. I know it can be a little shocking, and certain of which I dance professionally in the Georgian ensemble, in which we study more than 20 completely different types of Georgian dances. Besides it, we are also developing in other directions. Ossetia, Dagestan, Abkhazia. Of course, I attended Armenian dance classes, considering my roots. Let's start from the beginning. When I was only 3 years old, my parents decided to give me to Georgian dances to the state ensemble, name of which is Iveria. First of all, this study was specified on the aesthetic education of people, in which they sought to accustom children to discipline, to instill in the kids respect for adults. That is, they were engaged in raising children with a Caucasian mentality. As a child, I was very energetic, and I could dance, run, jump from morning until night. I admit I was far from an ideal child, my poor parents, and this ensemble was the best solution for them, but not for me, it seems to me in the beginning. You cannot imagine how much I cried. I was naughty every time I was dressed in the rehearsal clothes. I even had to manipulate my parents. For example, 1 doll, 1 lesson, 2 toys, 2 lessons. But everything changed after my first big concert. For the first time, I went on stage when I was only 5 years old. I was very excited because I felt the huge responsibility on my children's shoulders. It was a solo where for 20 seconds I was dancing alone in the middle of the huge stage. It was a wonderful experience. And after a minute of my fame, my attitude toward dancing, towards this matter, towards my teacher, has changed dramatically. I began to come to the dances classes before everyone else, and to leave later than anyone else. With the start of the school, it became much harder to combine 2 things. I did lessons right on the benches in our locker room, and I taught the rules in the car. I came home by 9 or 10 p.m. I had to pass some children's holidays and even came to some family events late. I lived in this place. And my family members even thought that they would make me a residence permit in this ensemble. So, unfortunately, closer to the age 10 or 11, small problems began. During these years, girls are given more complex material and technically difficult movements. As I said earlier, I was so energetic, and dance lyrical, calm, graceful dances was very complicated for me. Both in emotional and physical terms, there were many tears, as I felt the pressure from my teachers because of my leading position in the group. Thanks to my parents who helped me at that period. And in 2019, after a huge number of classes, additional hours in hall alone, work hard on myself and my great desire, I was able to show myself from the best side at the important concert for our 60-year-old ensemble. So at this concert, they were significant political figures of Georgia and Russia and honored artists of Russia who came specifically for our performances. And after this wonderful concert, at the meeting of all teachers, the directors of the whole ensemble told my teacher that in her group, there is a girl, an Armenian girl, who danced with such charisma and wide smile, so that all our students should dance exactly the same. And since hearing this information, my attitude toward dancing has changed again. I stopped doubting myself. I stopped afraid. I began to dance much more confidently. I began to feel not at all as before. I began to hear music differently and feel the rhythm. Dance was like I'm floating during concert or rehearsals. I learned to feel my body, and from the first seconds, I can turn into a smooth and graceful swan, or, on the other hand, suddenly become an invincible and ruthless warrior with fire in my eyes. In conclusion, I want to say that the dance language expresses our attitude to life. Indeed, in the dance, a person with plastic body shows all his emotions and feelings, thoughts and experiences without saying a word. The dance language doesn't need a translation. Everything is subject to movement. With the help of the dance, the strength and spiritual culture of person, his physical data and talent are revealed. So happy is a person who knows how to express his attitude to life in the dance. As Mark Twain said, actions speak louder than words.
Have you ever asked yourself how you are being deceived by IT giants? Is everything referring to the privacy of your data as safe as you think? Our next speaker, Ramazanov Sultan, will give a talk about security system and saving the privacy of your data in media space.
Does anybody need to check their phone? No? How many minutes does it take when the anxiety to check your phone overwhelms you? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sultan Ramazanov, and today I'm going to discuss with you the biggest digital snatch of our age and the main robbers of it. So you may wonder, what is he talking about? In a nutshell, my speech is about the harm of modern digital devices. It is based on the Shoshana Zubov's book, Surveillance Capitalism. So, many people in this lecture hall will say, oh, Sultan, you will not surprise us today with this. Even our grandmas warned us of it. It's a cliche. So, and I'll answer, no, I will. And I'll not only surprise you today, but also fill you with dread. Actually, the funny thing that my colleagues, our dear speakers, and even our mentor said so, but I say tried but true. So, let us begin. As we know, capitalism evolves by taking things that live outside the marketplace, by bringing things into where they can be sold and bought. Private human experience, your experience, has been claimed to the marketplace as behavioral data. What does it mean? Any kinds of data that you can imagine. Your thoughts, your preferences, food and music tastes, whatever. How many times do you tap on your phone? When you wake up or go to sleep? These kinds of data and many others which are on your or not your devices are gathered, processed, classified, and then sold by big tech companies to other companies, and so on and so forth. So the data which are supposed, promised to be private, are not so today. Yes, and it's not a simple violation of privacy. No, it's rather more complicated than you can think. So they want to make their product. They want to make their product the tool that is more and more deceiving, the tool that is more and more controlling, the tool that is more and more addicting. And in the end, these companies, in the foreseeable future, before one could say Salимгерей Абдурахманов, will rule the world, and the majority of population won't even know it. So let us begin with the examples, and I'll show you how all this mess works in practice. So the first example is very simple. It's just a warm-up though, but still, every Apple user once faced this. When the iOS apps ask you politely to track your activity, and the only thing that you can do is to ask them not to do that. Isn't it sweet? So let's move to another Grand Theft data. So there is no doubt that Google is a pioneer company in this field. And recently, the bright example. Recently, one bright engineer has discovered that the Google Net Security system has a microphone built into it. The interesting thing that this device doesn't imply any microphones in it. It doesn't imply any microphones in its schematic papers. It doesn't discuss any microphones. It doesn't show any microphones. So why would they have microphone built into it? And now this becomes public, and obviously it's like an anecdote. People ask Google, "Hey Google, what's up with this microphone in your net security system?" And they're at loss. "Hey Johnny, why would we have a microphone built in our net security system?" "Damn, I don't know." They know. They know, and now they have their personal Stirlets in your house. So another great example is this. You have in social media platforms, there is a function when you have to physically pull down the screen to refresh your news feed, home screen, whatever we call it. But what if I say that this function is designed to imitate the mechanism of pulling down a slot machine in casinos when where an addicted gambler anticipates, whether I get a reward or I get nothing. So, let's end up our row of examples with the simplest one. But what if I ask you to open your phones and check your home screen time? your screen time. So, check your home screen. According to the statistics, the average screen time is about 2 or 4 hours a day for adults. And now check your screen time. In the slide you can see my own screen time, and it's not a Photoshop, as many might think. If you don't believe me, come there and I show it with my own phone. So, in comparison with other speakers, in my case there is no personal drama, because this problem affects us all equally. We are all in the same boat. You should understand that tomorrow you will have to be responsible for your children's future. And whether it will be conscious and independent, or it will be like this. They are couch potatoes who staring at their phones 24/7, whose thoughts and desires are shaped by a bunch of big tech companies who imagine themselves as an executors of people's destinies. And now you understand that these companies can thrust down your throat any popular idea, like that guy who going viral on Instagram, Tajik champion or whatever. So about children raising, another example is Steve Jobs. Even Steve Jobs didn't allow his children to use the Apple devices, the devices of his own company. At the very beginning, he knew all. So, in conclusion, dear ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember these words every time you pick up your phone without any certain reason. Your ignorance is their blessing. Thank you for your attention.
So I'll begin the announcement of our last speaker with such a gripping question to the audience. What if we live inside the simulation? How can we create our own convenient reality? This is a commencement of further discussion, which Gevorgyan Liana will continue.
Hi everyone, I'm Liana, and I bet all of y'all have ever played GTA, Sims, Truck Simulator, or at least any game. Like, raise your hand if you have. Stop lying. Okay, raise your hand if you have played in any game. Okay, that looks better. But to be honest, we all love them games, and not only because we can steal helicopters or beat up people there, but because as the players, we are in total control. And that is something that we lack so much in our reality. But what if I told you that there is a high probability with an actual scientific proof that our own world is artificial, and we may be living in someone else's computer game? If you ever play GTA, you know how the map there is only downloaded in that particular part on which your character is currently looking. And if you quickly change the field of view, you will see how settings build up from scratch right in front of you. That is made intentionally for optimization purposes, so that your computer does not overheat for the sake of things that are not needed at that very moment. And that whole concept of turning off the necessary explains all of our daily little lacks. Like, for example, when you are hysterically searching for something that is right in front of your nose, but you simply can't see it. But moreover, it successfully resolves one of the most burning issues faced by humanity, quantum mechanics. Double-slit experiment is not leaving scientists alone already for decades. And it also went viral some years ago on the internet, but I'll briefly explain if you live in a cave, like Sultan with his 3 hours of screen time. If you start shooting photons through a template with 2 cuts in it, one at a time, They will leave an interference pattern, as if they were colliding with something and creating a wave. And that is against any possible math, physics, or simple logic, because they literally have nothing to bump into. But the things got even weirder when scientists decided to set up a measuring machine right in front of a template to capture the moment of so-called collision. And boom, photons left just 2 stripes in form of a template, as they theoretically should. As if the whole nature decided that it's time to download properly and act as normal, but only as soon as the viewer appeared, just like in a computer game. We cannot deny existence of some outer space higher intelligence, which is playing the simulator of humanity, but we equally cannot deny that we ourselves are able to be in control of our own simulation. Because once, we were just a species of a large biological genus as any other organism, but somehow we've managed to outlive all of our other kinds who are much physically stronger than us. Then we destroyed 90% of all nature's creations, including megafauna, and I'm talking about some giant guys like 6-meter tall beavers. And up until now, we've been adapting the remains to our own needs, crawling to the peak of nature's hierarchy. Primates, who are our closest relatives, for some reason could not achieve some results. Some say that it is because they cannot communicate and cooperate with each other, but they can. The difference is that they can only tell about things they've actually seen and experienced, like where the danger is or where the food is better. While human beings, on the other hand, can talk about absolutely everything just with the help of imagination. And that is our main distinguishing feature and greatest force. 70,000 years ago, Homo sapiens developed the ability to think beyond objectivity, to make up stories, to lie, and to believe. We call this process the cognitive revolution, when a human being became the master of his reality. Now we create gods, ideologies, meditations, and wish marathons, but only to shift responsibility for our own actions. But Homo sapiens is a constructor. We've been adjusting natural resources for the sake of our own comfort, and when it stopped being enough, we started to adjust our own perception of the world, the way it would be the most convenient. And just in case of things going out as planned, we decided to make up a new fairy tale, that it was never our choice and it could not be under our control. But everything can. I myself am an explorer by nature rather than constructor. The most important thing for me is to feel and to experience, and I always make sure that I see everything around as the best thing I've ever felt and experienced. I can't change somebody else's actions, but I am in control of my own attitude and understanding. I am the one who decides whether things that happen to me are impactful or useless, good or bad. You can call it delusion, but I call it game optimization. I blot out all the unnecessary white noise and transform the rest into something I can profit, gain deep, profound emotions from, so that finally I can embody those emotions in my music, stream on every platform. But I only give people the wrapper, which they, on their turn, fill with their own feelings and history. That way, they not only find something relatable, but also start to see some of their personal situations through my lens, which, in the first place, is simply different, and in addition, I hope is comforting. But that is way too abstract, so let's talk about something more material, like business. I am totally worthless in that matter, but I've been blessed to be surrounded by smart, creative, and determined women, so let's have a little feminist commercial break. I've seen them paving their way to success by their own personal path, but one thing they all have in common is that they never treat things for what they are. In the beginning, all they got was an idea that summed up all of their values and vision of the world. Then, they've managed to convince other people to adopt those values, creating a whole community that believed that they have some particular needs and they can meet them in a certain particular way. So, their main goal was not just to create a product itself, but to create a mindset where that product is crucial. But they had to do a lot of work with their own perception as well, because business is the bloodiest battlefield. I witnessed them being scammed for money, slandered, let down by production workers who could have passed hundreds of defective items with no time to redo, or move all the materials worth tens of thousands to Grozny without even warning. And don't even get me started on people who they have to face on a daily basis, and who are not even their clientele. Like that man who once crashed my friend's store searching for his psychiatrist. But even at the lowest, they always take a deep breath, change the angle, and benefit. Because by finding the solution to the most absurd and unpredictable situations, they made the company even better and more efficient than before. They all believe that everything happens for a reason, and they are the ones in control of determining that reason. And I'm not at all talking about business specifically, because y'all are the ones who fill things in your reality with meaning and worth. Whatever words are said to you, it's you who decide how to interpret them, as an insult, as an empty noise, or as a motivation that you can use to develop yourself. The world is your plaster, and you can adjust and transform it to whatever you feel is best for you. So right now, I want you to open the notes app on your phones. Open, I'll check over. So I want you to write, like briefly, just in a couple words, don't try hard, what you see yourself in 10 years. And while you're thinking, I want to show you one of many, many, many examples of how powerful our thoughts actually are.
That's when Tom Holland predicted his own future.
What kind of superhero would I want to play? Maybe Spider-Man in my 10 years' time. Who was your first ever celebrity crush? No. My favourite video game is this little game called Uncharted. You could be in a movie with any 3 actors alive or dead, who would you pick? Jake Gyllenhaal. My favourite Spider-Man villain will have to be Doc Ock.
Any chance there's a multiverse in which Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew's Spider-Man all meet together?
Of course I'd love to make a movie that's so much of it.
So I hope that inspired you to think a little wider than you usually do in terms of your future, and I guess you're ready. So the next thing I want you to do with those notes is to save them in your phones and to glance at them from time to time. I want you to keep creating your best reality and to always remember that you are the main character in that game. Thank you.
So now it's time to reveal the secrets and give the floor to our secret guest. Please greet the ex-editor of Vogue magazine and producer, Anastasia Mitina.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'm really, oh my God, I'm super nervous. I'm so sorry. Yeah, let's start the presentation. Maybe I don't really need the microphone. No, okay, I will do the microphone. Yeah, searching for fashion, that's my theme, and that's me, yeah. And searching for fashion, how it's all started. In 2016, I was account manager in BBDO, maybe you heard it. It's an advertising agency, and somehow, fortunately, I saw the job vacancy, like Vogue Russia searching for intern in fashion department, and I'm like, yeah, unpaid job, yes, I want it, absolutely. And that's how it started. I have one interview, just one interview that was horrible, but I have only 10 minutes, not 10 hours, I have lots of details. And my first day. Why it's the toothbrush here? Remembering my first assignment, that was cleaning rough semen sneakers in the toilet with the toothbrush. And yeah, and remember this time, I was absolutely happy. Not because I'm crazy, because I love cleaning shoes, because I absolutely, I was sure that I am a part of a big magic camp like fashion industry or something. And so, oh sorry, I'm so nervous. Yeah, thank you so much, thank you. So the story will be about my first cover of Vogue Russia, and that was like a path for 2 years, and what I learned about fashion is the word routine. Fashion, sometimes it's boring, it's like, bam, fashion is a daily searching for trends all the time, searching for clothes, trends, people, I'm here, and my colleagues, searching for people, for assistants who carried heaviest boxes, who like painting panties in gold and something like that. And the assistant, makeup artists, photographers, interns, and fashion is searching for clothes, searching for locations, searching for people, for models, for angles. I love to eat, yeah, sorry. Searching for trends, clothes, all about clothes. And searching for people. I still adore my colleagues because Vogue Russia is not existed anymore, if you know that. So, one day, my colleague, I was an intern, said that stylists are painters who can't paint. For me, it's absolutely, I can't paint at all, unfortunately. So my path for like the cover of Vogue Russia was like for 2 years, and my first cover of Vogue was in 2019 September issue. If you somehow heard about fashion, September issues is the main one in fashion editorial year. It's like the fresh start and something like that. And so globally Vogue sent us the theme. The theme was like floral, something floral. Okay, we choose 3 themes like cute flowers, goodness, cute flowers, strong flowers, that's my theme, and the lots of flowers. So I started the research, and I was scrolling down the internet, the Pinterest, and something, and so I found this. This was the Meditative Rose by Salvador Dali, and that was the only picture I have in the mood board. If you somehow you saw the stylist mood boards, it's like the 100 of photos, like reference for makeup, reference for poses, and reference for wherever it is, how model will dance or something. So my mood board is this picture only. And I was lucky enough to work with the beautiful supermodel Kari Nelson. Maybe you heard about her, but she is amazing. She's redhead, she's absolutely powerful. And for me, strong flower is red rose. And for me, red rose is absolutely Kari Nelson. And here is the process, how stylists prepare the shootings. The shooting was in New York, and I purchased 300 brands. I mean, that was lots of clothes. I mean, I think my assistant had the picture where I lay down in the red clothes all over our like office or something. So, and this is the mood board where you put the clothes which brands will send you. So, the process. This is the pre-shoot. This is super strange, absolutely disgusting stage of the filming, because it's my assistant, that's the photographer, and they're trying to understand how they will film the Kari Nelson, the supermodel. So, first cover option. That was the first cover option, and when I looked at it, it's like Balenciaga coat, goodness, absolutely adorable Kari Nelson, beautiful Balenciaga coat. But why no? Why no? Because when I think about rose, it's like super powerful flower, but it's a flower, and I need to bring this idea to the cover. And yeah, that's the story. I love it. Seriously, I absolutely adore that, because Kari Nelson, red, I absolutely the fan of red. And so I decided to do this one. That's the cover, the final cover. And if you will look at, no, okay, I have the slide, but it expires, okay. The compares of this one and this one is absolutely look-alike. And I was absolutely happy. Karen Nelson was absolutely amazing supermodel, and I absolutely grateful for Vogue Russia somehow existing in our life. Maybe you don't really like fashion, but I absolutely adore that. And I think fashion is not only about clothes, but it's for searching ideas and translate them to the world. What do you want to say to the world? It's fashion. Yeah, thank you. Oh my God. Thank you. The greatest public, thank you so much.
Unfortunately, now it's time to say goodbye. Please remember that Let's Talk will try to delight you with such conferences as soon as it can. We hope that the performances of our brilliant speakers and our secret guests could help you to expand the horizons by finding out the answers to the intriguing questions. Thank you for attending our conference. See you soon.